Hi, this is Elise Italia for OpGov News. I'm a student journalist and I'll be interviewing
Rohan Marfatia.
who is running for the Alameda position of County Supervisor. Could you tell me a little bit about yourself and what the position entails?
First of all, thank you, Elise, and thank you, OpGov, for having me over. The position is that of an Alameda County Supervisor. So this position manages almost a $5.1 billion budget, and that covers areas which our residents depend on. So Elise, things like public safety, homelessness, right, and nonprofit partnerships, ensuring that the child welfare works out well. So it's a pretty important position at a county level.
That sounds like a really interesting role. What inspired you to get more active in that?
So Elise, when you see things around you, you're living in the community. You're here in San Ramon. I live in Fremont. And when I talk to people in the Tri-City area, people who live in Hayward, Fremont, Newark, Union City, and if you ask them one question, how has life changed over the last 3 years? Is it better or worse? What do you think the answer is?
I'm gonna say worse.
It's been worse, right? So in spite of almost $1 billion in Measure W funding, which we started collecting, this was like an extra tax, 0.5% tax, which was levied across the Alameda County starting 2020. So we have collected $810 million over the last 6 years. Back in 2019 and 2020, the point in time homelessness count, that was around 8,000. What do you think it is right now? More or less? More. So how does that work, right? I mean, if we are taxing residents by almost $1 billion, and over 6 years, if the homelessness actually worsens, are we doing something right or wrong? Something's not working out well, right? And if the incumbents, if people who have these positions don't understand technology, think about the layoffs which are happening across the Alameda County. Thousands of people are getting laid off, right? So where are the economic opportunities? Think about our child welfare system. Incidents like Sophia Mason, she was an 8-year-old who passed away because of poor service. So when these things happen in the community, Elise, someone has to step up. Things ought to change. And I'm here to bring in that change.
You've talked about some of the really important changes you'd like to see. Could you talk a little bit more about the central goals and message of what your changes would be?
Thank you for asking that, Elise. So my campaign is three-pronged, right? I want to ensure that there are safe neighborhoods. We have real solutions that solve problems. And we have honest and transparent government. So that is what I want to bring to all the problems that we're facing. The problem is not about resources. Like I explained, we have hundreds of millions of dollars. The problem is about implementing those resources. We need someone who can execute. I've been in the industry for over 2 decades, across countries, across continents, and I've seen how to drive results and outcomes for our partners. And these have been programs which are like a few $1,000s all the way to a few $1 billion, right? So having managed these programs and driven outcomes, I want to have this three-pronged strategy for my Alameda County Supervisor District 2 campaign. Safe neighborhoods, real solutions that work, and honest and transparent government.
You've talked a lot about honesty and transparency and bringing solutions to problems. Knowing some of the issues residents have faced within the past few years, like economic opportunity, what's one decision you would make differently than the current county supervisor?
So not just one decision. I think first of all, there has to be transparency throughout. I want to ensure that every dollar the county spends brings results. How can that come? When it's data driven. You go to the current county supervisor's page, you scroll down and you'll see 2022. You go to other counties' pages, websites, and you'll see 2021, 2022. What does that tell you? When a website has not been updated for the past 4 years, what does that tell you?
There's lack of care.
There's lack of care, right? There's lack of awareness of technology. I applied to a position at one of the boards back in January 2025. When I go and log into that system, it says it's being considered still after 1.5 years, right? So here, There's someone who wants to be involved and help with the economic development, and the application just gets lost, right, in crappy systems. So how does that work? So you asked me about one thing. I want to make things data driven. I want to enable things with technology.
How do you plan on implementing this data-driven goal?
Dashboards. So when you talk about, I explained what all the county supervisor's role entails, right? Public safety for our unincorporated areas, working with the sheriff, flock safety cameras. So how do you implement measures across the board which touch so many different areas? And when you want to bring in technology, you want to have accountability for results. Right now, when you go and Google it, where do the metrics stand? Do you think you will find a dashboard which kind of shows you how bad things are?
No, I don't.
Do you think the incumbent would like to publish it?
No.
Why?
Because the results wouldn't be flattering?
Exactly. The results are not flattering. The incumbents don't want to publish those results. So it's tough to find that data. So what I intend to do is, let's have these monthly dashboards. Let's make things transparent, right? Let's have a mechanism wherein people can see how many incidents have happened from a public safety standpoint in our unincorporated areas or across the county. Is the crime trending down, trending up? What are we doing about it? The same with the layoffs, right? Warn notices, all the layoffs which are happening, mass layoffs, in a way that falls within the county supervisor as well. And you can implement workforce training, various programs and stuff. How active are those programs? Can we see that? Do we have a dashboard which citizens like you and me can log in and see whether it's trending up, trending down? Where's the cockpit? I mean, a CEO of a business needs a dashboard to operate the business every day. And here we're talking about a $5.1 billion budget for the county and all these programs, and we are operating without a dashboard. We don't know whether things are trending up, down, what levers do we have in our control, how can we tweak things that will make things improve. How does that work? So that's what I want to bring in. Make it data driven, introduce transparency, have dashboards, have smart people. Positions. I think 1 in 4 county positions are vacant right now. Right? As per the last grand jury report, they mentioned that 26% of the positions are vacant. So here's a county which has not been able to fulfill and staff its own positions. 1 in 4 positions. Do you think that would serve the public? If you don't have people to serve the public?
No, I don't.
So, I mean, on one hand, there are people who want to work. On the other hand, there are gaps and you're not able to staff them. So it's not making sense, right? Something somewhere is broken. We ought to fix it. That's why I'm running.
You discussed on fixing the lack of transparency as well as the lack of collaboration and staff members in the Alameda County. How do you plan on increasing collaboration between and cooperation within the office?
So that's a pretty important point. I've always been a consensus builder. So I've been in roles like account management, sales, operations, delivery, and you always work with other departments to drive results. You know, what's the one phrase that kills things from happening? It's not my job. Right? I mean, so that's where the collaboration comes in. And we got to kind of partner with non-profits. We got to partner with for-profits. So even though I'm outside of the elected office right now, I want to give you an example of how I have partnered. So last year, I was one of 7 people chosen within the industry, a $1.5 trillion industry across the state of California. And we're talking about almost 195 companies and representing about $200 billion in capital equipment annually. So I was able to represent this forum, go to Washington, D.C., meet senators, meet congressmen, and advocate for provisions like the repeal of Section 1079, ensure that the interest deductibility happens. These are provisions which got included in OBBBA Act, right? And things like these happen through consensus. When you work together, how can you have an association? How can you have one voice, almost 200 companies, and represent that collective voice where it matters the most, like Washington, D.C., like Capitol Hill? So in my role, once elected to office, I'm going to ensure that there is collaboration across departments. It's not my job is not a phrase that we operate with anymore. We ensure that there is a partnership with for-profits. Even right now, I'm working with a company called Offboard. And Offboard has right now put together a plan called Alameda Career Transitions. So with all these layoffs happening, people are struggling, right? So now they are putting together a portal for Alameda County so that they know how to navigate and they get placed into higher paying jobs using their network. So these are things which I'm working on right now, even outside of being elected, right? So consensus building, partnerships, working across departments, working with for-profits, working with non-profits. That is the magic. That's how things change over time.
You talked about working in sales, presenting to the US Congress, and working with an off-board company. It sounds like you've had a really dynamic career before politics. What is your professional background and how do you think it's going to help you in this role?
Yeah, so if you see my ballot designation, it says business executive and parent. So being a parent teaches you a lot, right? I have boy-girl twins. They are...
Also a twin.
Oh, you are a twin. Wow. So yeah, I mean, being a parent of twins and who are growing within the county, who are experiencing the schooling system, the city services, the county services, that teaches you a lot. So essentially, when you ask the question about how the professional experience has been, right? So business executive and parent. I wanted to bring out the fact that being a parent teaches you, being a business executive across countries and continents, right? So I'm a 3X founder. I've scaled businesses. I've worked for startups and I've worked for large enterprises. And both have their own charm, Elise, right? As you would imagine, they both teach you a lot. So I've seen how you scale businesses. I've seen how you face problems on a day-to-day basis. I've seen how you operate with the budget that you have and you still drive results. I've seen firsthand the customer experience and how crucial it is. And the same stuff I intend to bring to my elected office, right? So if I get elected as the Alameda County Supervisor for District 2, covering the cities of Fremont, Hayward, Newark, and Union City, essentially the residents are our customers, right? We want to ensure that their experience is optimal. We just cannot lag behind other counties in terms of public safety, right? Unincorporated areas are reeling right now, right? They're not feeling represented. And Hispanic people, interestingly, are complaining the most. And guess who we have as the incumbent county supervisor, a Latina, right? So, I mean, public safety, right? The layoffs which are happening, the child welfare services, all of these, I intend to bring my private sector experience, which I've had over the past 20 plus years, 2 decades. Being a parent, seeing firsthand the issues that we are facing in the county, you get empowered to solve these problems, right? You're like, hey, if you can work on $1 billion transformation programs, and here you are having a $5.1 billion budget, and you still don't have results, you get fed up, right? And the people who are in control, they don't understand technology. You're like, you got to jump in and change things. When I was growing up, my parents taught me, you cannot be a bystander. I don't have any right to complain if I have not tried fixing the problem. So here am I, right? I'm trying to bring my private sector experience. I'm trying to bring this experience of working with nonprofits, with for-profits, across countries, across continents, my Capitol Hill experience, my community advocacy experience to bear, right, to this position.
You've discussed how you would treat the public of Alameda County as your personal customers. What is one specific customer experience you would like to optimize for them?
I think the quality of life. Coming back to our first question when we started this interview, Elise, right? That one question, when you ask someone, a resident of Fremont, Hayward, Newark, or Union City, how has life changed since Rohan Marfatia became your supervisor? I want to hear the answer, it has improved. On all fronts, right? There are more economic opportunities, there are more jobs, right? People are getting cross-trained, reskilled, and trained for AI. We are utilizing AI and technology. We are implementing dashboards. The public safety situation, which is bad right now, is improving for the better. The homelessness situation, which is worse right now, After collecting almost $1 billion in additional taxes, that has changed for the better. People are not cycling between our justice system, between our health system, and between our county safety net. So that is something which should improve. So that one thing should be the one simple question that the county residents should be asked. Once Rohan got elected as your next supervisor and over the next 4 years of his term, have things improved or not? I want to hear that yes. And that is what I will strive for as your next supervisor. I want to have improvement across all facets in your life.
A huge priority for you, directly improving your customers' and citizens' lives. What do you say to people who maybe don't understand or think local politics can have a strong effect on their lives? How do you get them more interested?
So that is a very important question, and thank you for asking that, Elise. We are more concerned about what's happening nationally and what's happening globally, right? And I know things have been not that great, right? There's a war happening, macroeconomic indicators and stuff. But what touches your life the most? Is it the national and the global politics, or is it your city and county politics? It's the latter, right? So we got to be more involved in city and county politics, right? Because positions like the Alameda County supervisor manage $5 billion of budget, which impact your day-to-day life. If you're not interested in this, or if you're not voting, I mean, the voting rates are abysmal, right? 35%, what is it? 35-40% of the people vote in primaries, right? Why? If you don't vote, I mean, I don't care whom you vote for, but vote, right? Be interested in local politics. If you need change, right, you got to be more focused about what's happening around you. There are such positions which have a humongous amount of budgets and they touch your day-to-day life. So these are important, and you got to just exercise your right to vote. So my message is simple, right? Yes, we are concerned. We see different things happening at the national and international level, but local politics is even more important. You need to have the right representation. You need to have capable people who deserve to be there and who would bring in the right amount of change which you deserve. So be involved. Please vote, right? Please exercise your right to vote on June 2nd, and that's how things will change.
And finally, to wrap this up, what's one key takeaway you hope all readers and watchers of this interview will bring with them?
You have options, right? One key takeaway for young people like you, right? So here I am. I mean, I'm being interviewed by a high schooler. I feel so happy about it, right? Here's someone who is a young gun, who is involved, who is asking the right questions, who is taking time out from a busy schedule, and is more concerned about how things are changing, whether we are having good people on the ballot or not. So the one key takeaway is find the right people, right? People typically spend 5 minutes or 7 minutes max just researching. So my message to you is this election, this primary, you have options. A lot of good candidates are running. Unfortunately, a lot of positions are also uncontested. I mean, just one incumbent running. People should step up. That's my first message, right? We need more activism. We need good candidates. People should step up. And then secondly, those who have stepped up to drive change, support them, right? And you can show your support by going out there and exercising your right to vote. So that's my key message.
Thank you. This has been a really insightful interview on the power of local politics and how we can really bridge the private sector with public service.
Thank you so much, Elise. It was a
Nice to
pleasure.
meet you.
Thank you. Likewise.